Hello, my name's Marcus and welcome back to the Recovery Hub podcast. We've called this series Families Recover To, dedicated to family members and loved ones of those affected by addiction. Thank you to North Wales Area Planning Board for funding this project. With Nicky today. Nicky talks about what he's been going through over quite a number of years with one of his sons from the perspective of being an addict himself. He's in recovery, but he was addicted for 3 decades. Within his interview, he does talk about some quite strong opinions that he has about services, and they're not necessarily the opinions we have, they're Nicky's own opinions. So here's the chat we had, and hope you enjoy it. Very happy to have Nicky here again today. We've interviewed Nicky in the past about himself, but today's a bit different. Who are we talking about today, Nicky?
We're talking about one of my sons. We're talking about having and other members of my family that are still in addiction.
What's your backstory, briefly?
I'm a clusterfuck, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Pardon a better way of putting it.
I'm agreeing, yeah.
Thank you, I love you too. It makes like you who needs enemies. No, seriously, I was in a madness all my life. I'm 56.
Of addiction?
Of addiction.
Right.
I'm 56 in 3 months. Next birthday's 12 years clean. So I'm doing something right. But before that, I did everything wrong. And I watched, not with any compassion, until I got clean, the damage I did to my family. And I sit here now, looking from the other side of the street. And to be honest with you, if I'm honest, I feel a bit hypocritical. Because of my journey and the damage I caused. And now I watch the damage that's getting caused.
It's a quite interesting perspective that you have, because you've been through everything your son's going through.
Yeah. It's not just my son, you know what I mean? I've got a niece. You know, when we recognise the illness for what
as bad as we were?
Yeah, well, not. This is weird.
It doesn't really matter.
No, look, not as bad as me and you were, right? And I'm not putting us in a category, right? But me and you were fucked.
Yeah.
But, and Aaron is, right, because his decision-making skills are that of a squirrel crossing the road, and he's a rogue, he's in the madness, he causes mayhem, he doesn't give a shit who he robs or who he offends or not, and he thinks he's bomb-proof. All that and all the above. And then I've got other bits of the members of the family, you know, who have our emotional illness, right, and not the ability to deal with life, and then turn to prescribed medication. And I'm looking, it's weird, I'm looking from a wall down at them, and I'm getting asked to help them or try and help them, but I understand the concept now of they're not ready, and I never understood that, and tell you what, that's the pain, you know what I mean? I can turn around and say, if someone had come to me and you 20 years before or 15 years before we got clean, and said, oh, here's a solution, would we have got it then because we weren't ready? We hadn't had enough pain. Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's a weird one.
In my case especially, I do think what brought about change is pain.
Yeah. And just pain.
And just getting to that point.
Until them knees hit the floor, right, and I'd give in. And there was no more outs. You know, them rehabs, the detoxes, the hospitals, the blags, when you hit a certain point, you think, oh man, I need help. But it's not a surrender, right? It's I need help. I'm in a situation where I can't function anymore. I need to be able to function again. Not I need to get clean, if that makes any sense. And once upon a time, I thought I'd had so many rock bottoms, mate. Standing in the dock, 10-year sentences, rock bottoms. Full of fear over things, being hurt because of a situation that I got myself. Loads of rock bottoms, hospitalisations, loads of times. Until I realised none of them were rock bottoms. Because the only rock bottom I ever had was the one I rose from and I've stayed clean from. Because that was the original, that was the pinnacle of the rock bottom.
Mine wasn't particularly a rock bottom when I got clean. It just had an opportunity. I'd been a lot worse, in worse
No,
situations.
but it was your rock bottom. It was your change. I put a perception on rock bottom as the time, whereas
I'd had enough
I was
pain.
willing and able to change.
Yeah, that opportunity too as well. You know, having
Yeah.
for me, somewhere to go.
Everything fell into the right place.
Yeah. You and
But
I
I
went
offered
through.
him that.
So having all that knowledge and experience you have of first-hand addiction, seeing it every day for how many decades?
3 decades.
3 decades of addiction and jail sentences, nasty jail sentences and homelessness and all that horribleness.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I don't think there's a place exists where you haven't been in addiction.
No.
Apart from death. But
And they brought me back.
yeah, and it brought me back to it.
Bastards.
Yeah. You must feel double helpless
Yeah.
because you one, you know how bad it is an addiction, that kind of distilled misery.
And where
but
it's going.
2, you know there's a way out.
But he won't listen. Early days, yeah, I was on a crusade when I first got clean. You remember me?
Yeah.
I was on a crusade. I was going to save the world. Yeah, that didn't last long. About 18 months of pain, and he was on that road anyway. The same road as me, grafting, bouncing around, causing mayhem. Coke's his problem. Right? He's just not really a drinker. Smokes too much weed. But weed's a problem for him because he just causes mayhem if he hasn't got it. But cocaine's his go-to. And at the end of the day, I remember first challenging him, and it's years ago now. And he threw it back in my face. And the truth is, he was brought all his life visiting me in prisons, every corner of this country, from pillar to post, dragged through. My mum brought him up. Lived with his man in Garston and then lived with me mum most of the time. So my family brought him up because I wasn't there.
Did he see you in addiction?
Yeah.
Did he know you're in addiction?
Well, yeah.
Did he see how bad you were?
I don't think at his age back then he didn't have the concept of it. He's 35 now, right?
Because that's not young anymore, is it? 35. That's not young anymore, is it? 35.
No, but he still thinks he's 18.
Right.
He's not. How can I put this? Right. What I see in him is he's emotionally unstable. He can't deal with his emotions and feelings. He reacts like I used to react. Right. But there's a difference. He can't do his jail. He goes to jail and goes to pieces.
Has he had a number of sentences? Or?
Did he have little ones, only babies,
right.
18 months and that.
Right.
And his head falls off on them. You can't look, and the old adage, in it, if you're going to do the crime, you've got to do the time. But he's not emotionally equipped, right? Where he got away when he was a kid, and didn't get his first prison sentence till he was about 22, 23. I went away when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I grew up in the system. So it hardens you to it, doesn't it? It's second nature to you. It doesn't bother me. Prison's comfort. You know what I mean? That's my go-to. Jail didn't bother me. I knew where I stood in jail. I needed routine. And I've done many years.
Is it Azzy, your son?
Pardon?
What do you call your son? Azzy?
Azzy, yeah.
But he's not comfortable in jail?
No.
Okay, so
he hasn't got the mindset to be able to do prison sentences.
And yet he goes back.
Yeah, or tries not to go back. But he still carries on doing what he's doing when...
What is he doing?
Pardon?
What is he doing?
Just misbehaving. I'm not talking about that.
Okay, so possibly things that would put him back then.
Yeah, of course, always.
Right. Did he see the consequences of your behaviour in addiction?
I haven't been with his mum since he was like 3 years of age.
Yeah.
But we've always got on. We've always been friends. Well, the whole family, it's not. You know what I mean? Is there problems in that side as well? Yeah, there is. But there's nothing I can do about that. To the extent where it caused me the grief, no, maybe not. But the aftermath of some of his actions, yeah, they're life-changing for other people, you know what I mean? Because he's part of gangs, you know what I mean? He's part of that culture. And that culture in Liverpool is dangerous, man. It's not like when I was a kid. It's completely different now. And that scares me. I've buried too many people. I don't want to bury him. You know what I mean?
Was there anything to suggest that he had the addict gene as a kid?
Yeah, he's a lunatic. He's mad as a mad, yeah. Seriously, you know what I mean? He can switch like that. So I knew he had my emotional illness before I knew what my emotional illness was, if that makes any sense.
You rarely do. I'm joking.
He reacted like me, right? I had two things. Too quick to temper, no consequential thinking. The action had been done and then he'd feel sorry or guilty afterwards. He's got a heart. He's loving. When he's straight, he's such a loving, kind, mad little kid. Even though he's 35, I still think of him as a kid. But when he's using, he's just, it's just us all over. Selfish, self-centered, arrogant, egotistic, and sociopathic in a way. I don't know. It scares me because I know where it's going.
So are you seeing the same kind of patterns that you were involved in?
Yeah, 100%.
How much of his addiction do you see? How exposed are you to it?
I come home in 2007 from a sentence. I made the mistake that most addicts do. I started drinking, right? So I was still misbehaving, growing a load of weed. But I thought I wasn't misbehaving because I wasn't going out doing anything like I used to do. And I started drinking. And he was in my life then, before I got into recovery, growing up, still doing a bit of work, still being naughty, and round the house all the time. And it's bad news, this, like, give me a hand, various crops that I was growing. So he worked with me. So I was still in the madness, but trying to get my life back together with this false perception that drinking was okay, and the drink was taking over me. And I saw him doing what he was doing with his money. And I watched him, but I'm watching him from, and you understand, at that time, I'm still ill. I'm still in the madness. I want recovery, but I haven't got a solution. I didn't know there was a solution, to be honest with you, right? I thought I was doing the right thing and trying to fight back and becoming an alcoholic. That just ended badly, and I'm a full-blown alcoholic. And I've got no half measures, I'm all in. So I'm a 24-hour drinker in the end. And he saw that. Before I came into recovery, he saw the back end of that.
So did he see you on heroin, crack, and
he never saw
alcohol?
He never saw me use. He never saw me use any Class A's.
Right.
He never saw me use any Class A's. I never used in front of him, right? Because you've got to understand. You know, the prison sentences I've done. You know what I mean? When I come home, I was never in the family home. I was off. I just relocated. But I was in his life. So when I go round and see him, I was smashed to be here in the car, right? But he'd never seen me use, right? But he knew, you know what I mean? He 100% knew, but he never saw me use. And when I came home in 2007, you've got to understand, he's 35 now. So when I came home in 2007, I just finished a 10-year sentence, right? So I've been away for years. So he was a kid, see what I mean? So that, he missed that section. So now he's an adult, causing mayhem, and he wants his dad. So I've gone past Class A's. Did not pick a Class A up again. You know what I mean? But prescription medication and alcohol was the issue for the years before I got into recovery. He saw that. That's the part he saw. He saw the consequences of my using before that, as in dragged all around the country visiting me, right? But you know what? They're that naive at that age and they're coming through, young scousers. That's a badge of honour for them. Yeah, my dad's doing this, my dad's doing that. You know, they don't think of the other side of it. I don't think he was able to be honest with you, or he didn't want to. It was only when I came home in 2007 that I started proper noticing his patterns. And it's just his reactions. It's just us all over. You know, he just has not got any clue or any acceptance of how bad it is. And I've tried.
Do you see a lot of yourself in him?
Yeah, too much of it. He's a double of me as well. Apart from the size, he's a double of me. I've got 2 more kids to another girl. They're in Bournemouth. They're doing okay. They're doing okay because they weren't in my life. End of. You know what I mean? There's no arguing about that. One of them's in my life now. Although, albeit fleetingly, but one of them won't talk to me, and that's okay. But if I stood the 3 of them together, you'd swear they were triplets. I've got strong genes. All the lads look like different mums, but they all look the same. But, so, I can say, is it in the genes? So how come those 2 are okay? And their mum was an active addict. The twins' mum's an active addict.
Still.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't.
But no, when their straight dies. They've got a good grandma. Her mum's $1 million down in Bournemouth. Her mum was brilliant, and she's probably done most of the bringing of, you know what I mean, bringing them up.
It's weird, isn't it? I've spoken with people that have had addict parents, and they didn't get into any kind of addiction because they grew up with it, and that's not what they wanted for themselves. And I've spoken with people like quite recently, really, in prison, because my parents are not, weren't addicts, and I had a good upbringing, all the rest of it, and yet I still became hopelessly addicted for decades.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's even down to environment, because people say, it's environment, and thinking, well, it's not for me.
I haven't got that issue.
I grew up in a really nice house.
I don't get me wrong, I had a horrible stepfather, but there was money in the house. Yeah. They ran tailors and leather shops in Liverpool. My mum tried to send me to private boarding school and everything. I got expelled. Ended up in Shawfields. I love Shawfields, Dingle, Blanton School. But at the end of the day, so emotional trauma when I was a kid. Picked up Valium, mum, and his whiskey, about 9, right? So, but that was a deflection from the pain I was in because I was full of fear, right? Because I was scared of him. But and I can analyse that now because I'm well versed in it and trained in this now, right? So I can look back and go and can see my emotional issues and problems and where they came from. But what I do for a living now is I talk to families of addicts constantly, of the clients that I look after, and their families come up to see. So I see the devastation on a daily basis that they do to their families, because their families are phoning up crying and so on to us and come in, how they're doing them. The usual, the score. But they're from all walks of life. There's no, you cannot say, this is the situation because of this, because of that, or the excuses we use. If you had my life, if you had my school, and if you had my brother, my sister, my mum, my dad, all the blags that we've used in the past, none of them are relevant. None of them whatsoever. The only thing I actually think is relevant is the understanding of enabling, right? And I think as a father, and as a family member of other people that are in the madness, other issues, not street drugs, but prescription drugs and problems that are causing, and then having to talk to members of my family about the concept and what enabling means, when, if I'm truly honest, it's only been the last 1.5 years, 2 years that I've stopped enabling Aaron. Even though I've been in recovery for this long, I'm fighting this battle with him for this long, I've only just started practicing what I preach.
In what respect were you enabling him?
When he needed money, when he needed picking up.
Trainers all sorts.
All that in jail on the sentence. All of the above. And you know what? And right or wrong, I'll always enable him that way, right? If he's in prison and he needs something, right, I will provide that, right? Because I don't count that as enabling. That's just living. I'm on the street. Yeah. On the street, I enable him by letting him get away with things. Things have gone missing, been taken on, sold on me. They're, and I still forgive him, right? And I still. I love him. He's my son.
How involved with gangs? Is he usually big time?
He's out of it now.
Right. Well, okay.
He's away from his area.
Right. Was that a relief?
He was. He got. Just, I don't want to go into it now, but too many of them got shot. It was lucky it was that. Twice it's been lucky it wasn't him. He lost his leg. The other lad was shot. Vinny was shot off the back of the bike and killed. Aaron wasn't. and I got away. Vinny had managed to climb over a fence, but he died from the injuries because no one knew where he was. So, I mean, look, it's Liverpool's mayhem, mate. Liverpool's the kids are mayhem, and kill or be killed. He's not in Liverpool anymore. But I thought that'd help.
It's not a
Usual
kid either.
geographical. Take you away from the situation, right? And you got a chance. And you know what? He does the best he can. He works. You see, look, when he comes on top and he's on his toes, he'll stop being naughty and he'll start working. And he's really good at what he does. He's really good with his hands. Anything to do with building. He's like a monkey on a roof. He's fast, he's neat, he's quick. He's a troubleshooter. People love employing him because he's a million times. So there's no excuse because he's got the skills. He's got the skills to have a normal life and make good money, really good money. But it's the drugs.
I think what we've seen through quite a few of our episodes interviewing people who've been through addiction is that, you know, they're quite high achievers. They're, you know, quite
IQ
switched on, very intelligent people.
We were higher than normal IQ.
You know, didn't become addicted because we were thick.
No.
or unintelligent.
But that intelligence is used in the wrong way. You know what I mean? I've always said
during through addiction, yeah.
Yeah, look, at the end of listen, I could blag a stone wall, right? It's a skill set. We adapt.
Yeah, it's transferable.
Yeah, we adapt. Right. So when we get clean, we have this skill set. I used to turn around and say, look, you know, I got clean and I want to get rid of these defects of character and these traits that I have, right? You know, but I actually like some of my defects, right? You know what I mean? And they still come in handy. But I use them for the right reason now. So if technically it's not a defect of character.
They're assets now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a skill set now.
Yeah.
Because once when I used to get something of someone, whatever it took, if I wanted something, whatever it took, I got that.
So you're dodgy good now.
Yeah.
Dodgy.
Yeah, I'm not getting shot anymore. But if I want something of someone, right, I'd strong arm, I'd manipulate them. But look, however I need to do it to get past their armour to get it. Now, in what we do, we use that skill set to get past their armour to help them. Not to take, it's not self-gratifying. I'm not doing it for my benefit anymore.
With his life and his addiction, is he using? Is he clean?
He's using. He's on his toes. He's on his toes.
On his toes on the run?
Yeah.
From the police? Mm-hmm. Okay. So not in a great place.
No. But he can never catch him. He's been on his toes for 18 months.
But yeah, well, it doesn't go away though, does it? Charges.
No. Well, this is the end of the day. But you know what? This is going to sound complete. This is obviously coming from an addict's brain, man. It's going to sound completely bonkers. But you know when he's on his toes?
Yeah.
I sleep better at night.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because he moves somewhere and gets a job.
And becomes low key and
yeah. So I'm not worrying about him, if that makes any sense. It's the same as my mum used to say to me, the only time I didn't worry about you lads is when you were in jail, right? So you held your own in there and you were at peace, right? When you were out, we didn't know what was coming to the door or what was going to get said on the phone. Whereas I know he hasn't got a jail head. If he's on his toes and he's working, he's half all right. He's still using, but he's not robbing anyone. Mm. You know what I mean? At this moment in time, it's sad, but this present time, it's the best I can ask for. This is not going out for a while, so when it's all out, he won't hear this anyway.
No,
you know what I mean? But his nan's just died. I've got a funeral in about 12 days, 13 days.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
Yeah, and I've got to take him. And I didn't, you know what? This mother-in-law, right? I've never had to cross word with. Yeah. I've always gone on with Mary. Lovely woman, right? Scouse mum. She's always been brilliant. I've always been welcome, right? I've never had a bad word with her. I'm going to have to take him and my grandkids, or two of them, and his bird, my granddaughters, him and his bird to the funeral.
So you're taking Azzy to the funeral?
Yeah.
And do you think he'll turn up?
Oh, yeah, he'll turn up. Yeah. Low-key at the back, just in case, as he puts it, not me anymore, the enemy turn up, right? Because they're going to be watching for him at this funeral.
Right.
But he's got to show his face. The grandkids and his bird have definitely got to go, you know what I mean? So, That's the concept. But then I look back at it and I've backed off from him. I'm not, don't lend him money anymore. And when he phones up, I'm not having any blags. I've had enough. And it's never lend. It's just what we used to do. Hey, lend's 25 till Wednesday. Lend's 50 till Wednesday. Lend's one. I need 200 quid. I'll give you back on. But I've got to be honest, right? I know I'm never going to get it back. I don't expect it back. I'd have more respect, and I've said this soon. Just say giz, will you?
It's a pride thing, isn't it?
Stop saying lend.
It's a pride thing.
But it does me head in. And that's it. Maybe that's my shit. No one else's. But you know what? Just say, give me that. Have you got that? Not lends that, I'll give it you back. As soon as you put, I'll give it you back. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to hear that addictive speech coming from him because it's affecting me. I feel guilt and shame because I wasn't there for him. Could I have changed if I wasn't in prison all them years? On multiple occasions. Could I have done something better for him? Could I have helped him more? Could I have achieved something with him that I couldn't achieve with myself? I don't know. And I got all this psychology, and I'm well versed in this. But working my own, I'm really good at working other people's issues and problems out. But working my own out, I'm inept.
Yeah, maybe you could have done more for him, but it might not have stopped him becoming an addict.
No, I know. But I still question myself, Marcus. I still question myself because he's my son. He's my firstborn.
It's sliding doors, isn't it? It's kind of, what if I'd done this? Would things be different?
Goods and woods. And we know all it does is damage us go thinking like that.
Because we're never going to know, are we?
It still doesn't stop me thinking like that.
No.
And I know better. I know better, and I know I'm enabling them. Even though I've stopped, right? I've stopped. But it took up until an incident where he borrowed something and sold it on me. Right?
Because
sorry.
This has become like all-consuming for you at times. I've noticed. You know, this is the only thing that's going on in your head. You know, it's doing this now, it's done that now, it's done this now. How do you look after you?
I've got people I can talk to, including yourself, lad, that I'll offload on. And I have to offload. I don't take the burden on myself, even though, and so you've got to look at the damage that I did to my family. And you know what? I did more damage than Azzy's done. Right? I've got to be honest about this. Right? I did more damage than Aaron had done. You know, I've come home from prison sentences and the whole fucking family's moved, right? And told everyone not to tell me where they lived. Right, and it took me like 4 or 5 days to find me Mars.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I've knocked on the door. Our Sammy's answered the door and gone, "Oh, for fuck's sake, Mum, he's found us." You know what I mean? That's where it took me. You know what I mean? He hasn't caused the grief I caused. I had family members getting nicked because of me and doing prison sentences because their doors were going through because the police were looking for me and they were getting found with shit. That's the grief I caused. I took family members away from their kids, right? And my attitude back then was the silly swat. They shouldn't have had anything in their house anyway. Not, oh, look at what you've done, Nick. And I've made amends since, you know what I mean? And I've gone back and I've paid the piper on this one and I've gone back and apologised profusely. I took a hiding off one of my uncles, which I took, you know what I mean? I wasn't even going to fight back on it. I've got a member of the family that will never speak to me again. She spat in my face, and she's got every right to, because I stole years of her children's happiness with their father because he got nicked with something in the house because the police went through the door looking for me, right? And it doesn't matter about he shouldn't have been doing something. They wouldn't have gone through his door, but for me. So she'll never forgive me, and that's okay. And that's okay too.
So your consequences to your family and the way they had to kind of look after themselves was quite extreme to the point of moving.
Yeah.
And you say, as he hasn't been that bad yet.
It's the yet, innit? Right, it's the yet, right? Because he has no consequential thinking. Or, if I'm honest, and I don't want to be honest about it, like, he doesn't give a shit.
I gave a shit how it was affecting my family. I didn't fully know, and I probably never will, because I'm on the other side of the fence, right? Although I have had recently felt helplessness myself, but I'll never know what 25 years of my addiction did to my sister, my brother, my mum, my dad, I know it was the worst thing they've ever had to go through.
It's horrendous.
Now and I know I cared because I took myself away from them. There was loads of family photographs I'm not in because just absent. I just took myself away so they wouldn't see how bad I was. But I kind of I came to realise that maybe it's to protect my addiction as well, rather than them, or mixture of the both kind of thing, so I could keep using. And I inflicted mayhem on my family. What levels has he at towards his family?
He doesn't give a shit if the police are being through the door.
When you say he doesn't give a shit, does he generally not give a shit, or is that?
No, look, listen, he doesn't give a shit. Right.
How do you know?
Because I've pulled him on it, and look, especially, you know what? My mum is Nan, right? If they went through her door looking for him, right, he cares because he loves his Nan, right? Yeah. He loves his Nan, he loves my mum, right? And I'm not saying he doesn't love his mum, he does. But his mum's more like a sister to him, an older sister. And they've had snarls left, right and centre through his life.
What arguments?
Drug related. She likes a bit. I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole on this one, but it's just at the end of the day, he's got anger and resentment, right? I recognise what it is. He's got anger and resentment towards his mum, right? And a couple of his uncles and that, down that end, from his end, where he's from, his part of Liverpool. He's got resentment and anger. He loves his Nan, who we're going to be burying, right? He loved her, and he loved his granddad. His granddad died a couple of years ago. They were closer to him than his mum, if that makes any sense. So there's going to be an effect there, and I know it has. I know it has affected him. I've talked to him when his Nan went into hospital. She's in palliative care for 4 weeks and held on. She's bomb-proof. And it was literally a blessing that she passed, right? She was riddled with cancer. It was that much pain. It was a blessing when she went. She's in a better place. But I know I'm going to have to deal with all the aftermath of the funeral. I know they are. And he'll know that, like, I'm not going. His mum's already texted me the funeral, then the crematorium, the shares in the crematorium, and then where they're all going afterwards for the wake, which obviously I will not be going to, you know what I mean? Especially with Arlo. And I won't expect him to. So I'll run him home with the kids. And then, you know what? I come back to my peace and quiet in this side of the country, and I get on with my life. And that's how bad it is now.
Are you the main kind of advocate for Azzy to get clean? Are you the one fighting for him who wants it more than he does, I guess, at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, there'll be a point where he probably has had enough and he'll know where to go. He's got a dad who works in recovery.
But it's not that. It's look, he's got a sister, as you know, my little 5-year-old, right? And his sister's mum, Shani's mum, right? I sat down and counselled him. I've tried everything, whether people agree with it or not. I've tried everything. I've tried the church route, right? I've tried the recovery route. I've tried daddy recovery route.
How did that counselling go? What was the...
You know what? Probably for the first time I've ever seen, he opened up.
He opened up?
Yeah, he broke down.
Were you there?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, not in the room, right? In the house.
Yeah.
Because you're in the house. Yeah, like, she got through to him. She put him up for 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So she got through to him. You know her. She can get through to a brick wall.
Was he using?
What? No, not what he was there.
So he had 4 months.
He'd go to park. He'd go to park for the spliff, right? Yeah. So he was smoking a weed now and again, but he wasn't using B. Right? He stayed away from the coke. And he wasn't, he was happy. You know what? This is horrible to say. It's the first time I've seen him happy. And he was working. You know what I mean? He was working. He was working on her property, the one from auction. And he was working on that. He was doing all the work on that. He was getting paid. He was happy. He was seeing the kids. He was seeing the missus. He'd go and stay with them the odd night. You know what I mean? And he was staying with Tracy. And I saw him progressing, not regressing.
What happened?
Saving the money up that he had. And they're going on partying. And then the work started finishing on the house. So we had to get a place. So he then got a place for him and his bird kid, but not in Liverpool, you know what I mean? This end. And he reverted back to type.
Untreated addict.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's... Because it's not enough to take the alcohol or the drug out of a person, is it? If there's been no head work done, there's been no treatment, no kind of that cognitive change that we have in rehab.
We're not changing.
If we, it took me 5 or 6 rehabs to have that cognitive change. But I had it. I never thought I would, ever. I absolutely wrote myself off from a young age.
That's why you were ready.
This is it for me. I'm an addict. That's all there is to it.
Die this way.
So... if we're hoping an untreated addict is going to sort this shit out, right? That's just like that's just pulling a pin out of a grenade, and like thinking it's not going to go off. We know that it's going to go off back into addiction. So how could you possibly untreated addiction? And I don't mean like a bit of counselling. I mean properly
in depth. Trauma that he's gone through in his life. And he's gone through some heavy traumas.
We don't get addicted overnight, do we? And it takes a long time to undo. Or I don't think we can ever undo it, but we can find a way out.
But to find a way out, we've got to constantly work on it.
Yeah.
And to constantly work on it, our head's got to be in it, right?
It took me every rehab I did, every detox I did, every like Antonio puts it, I think, as well, every bag of gear he had, that took him, every failure, every relapse, that's what it takes us. And on the last rehab, I think I was, although I was trying to, fly under the radar for much of it, and luckily I had a counsellor who wanted to talk about his camper van more than he wanted to talk about me, which was belting for me. I didn't really have to talk about me too much.
No, I had to do it.
And he liked talking about himself, and I love him. I think he's a lovely bloke. And he really, really helped me. Took all that guilt and shame off me, like within minutes. No one had ever done that before. Very impressive. But unless you can, and I had 6 months in there, and I needed every minute of it. Yeah. I didn't feel like I did it, and I felt like I outgrew it towards the end. But even that, learning how to be bored was important as well. Because that addict thing, always like bang bang, instant gratification. Bored out of my head.
Sitting in your own head.
Bored out of my head here. But even that is, you're learning how to be bored without going to go and take drugs. So look, I just figured that out. Rehab taught me how to be bored.
Yeah, listen, who knew that I'd actually stay in bed? Hey, I'm not lying, man. If I'm not in work and I've got the baby, or I'm not going down to see my mum, or I haven't got something planned with someone, right, and a new box set's out, right, I can quite happily lie in. I've got a 16-inch telly at the end of my bed. I can live in my bed for that day, right? Get up to eat, get up for the toilet, right, and sit there and binge out on the telly without taking drugs and alcohol. I thought that was impossible. I can do a whole... It's bad news, like, I can still do a whole box set.
Thing is, right, and I do work long hours, right?
I don't.
No, not... Wow, no. Well, no, yes, you do.
72 hours a week I work.
And I can lie on the sofa and watch, like, Star Trek all day on a Sunday, but it does help if it's raining, because then it feels a bit guilt-free.
No.
I grew up in a small family business. There's always a bit of guilt in me for not working, But
because you have done that in the madness.
No, it's not happening. I only got out of bed when the dealer came on. When the dealer's phone came on and sent me a ping, then I'd think about getting my day going, and that could be 3-4 p.m. Didn't matter. It's absolutely nocturnal. It's nocturnal. It's total. And if I had a bed, that was, if I was lucky enough to have it.
Well, it was total cognitive change. But as you said, to get to that cognitive change, I'm a true believer that the right circumstances have to happen at the right time, with the right people. This is why only a small percentage of this lucky. And I count us blessed.
Isn't it 3% or something?
Something fucking horrible like that. We lie and say 25-30% people get clean, but it's bullshit, right?
Well, it all depends on
get clean, but they don't stay clean.
It's over how long as well,
so
isn't it? If you put it over like 5 years, I think it's only like 3%.
Anything with a decade and up, it's 3 to 5%, which is heavy, right? If we're honest, that is heavy. We're sitting here blessed, lad.
Yeah,
Right?
you're a dodo.
Yeah, I don't know. No, listen,
As
worse than
rare
a
as a
dodo. I
dodo.
was extinct before then, mate. You know what I mean? I know my age. But I look at it and I think, you know what, bang, I have gratitude for that. And I don't get me wrong, it's the people I have in my life. And I could never have done this on my own, right? Look, you're included in that. Don't let your ego get too big, right? But at the end of the day, I have a set few people. We call my tribe inside the tribe, right? That I'll have it with and listen to. And the advice they give me is sound advice because it's honest. It might not be what I want to hear, but it's always honest. I try and give that advice to him now.
Yeah.
But the heavy part is I'm trying to give that advice to my family, telling them what they need to do to help them. And then I've got my family turning around and saying to me, but Nicky, honestly swear down, the concept of enabling, right? I understood because I had to go through the pain of to realise that they've enabled me all my life. Until they just turned off on me completely. But at the end of the day, when it's your own kid, and then when it's your own other members of your family, right? It's really, really hard to persuade the rest of the family that you just need to stop helping them and walk away, right? Because they're still in the phase of loving them too much. And I know if we love them too much, we're going to kill them. But and I'm really good. Oh God, it's going to sound stupid, this. I'm really good at preaching this. I'm really good at teaching other people this, but I'm really shit at doing it myself.
I was going to mention at the beginning of the interview, you were talking about that you work with families, you speak with families every day of addicts and alcoholics. And I'm thinking, yeah, and then you've got to go and speak to your family about it. And is it the same?
No, completely fucking different. My passion is recovery. My passion is being the person I am now. And I love what I do. I can bitch about it. I'm tired. I'm overworked. That's just an addict talking. Right? I love what I do. And I love seeing people get clean. If I watch the program working in someone, it restores it in me. Right? It stops me getting complacent. So when I see and I'm able to talk to families and they know when they're talking to me, because I look, it's the old adage in it, I haven't worn the t-shirt, I picked the cotton, woven material, cut apart and I made the t-shirt. They can see that in my eyes, my gesture, my whole mannerisms. And at the end of the day, they know, I know what you're going through. My pain knows your pain, right? And I have family that are still have an issue, and I know what I cause to my family. So it's weird. I'm in a middle ground with them, right? So I'm able to help more, and you can see the shoulders drop, and they go, oh, someone who understands. You know what I mean? And I'm not on about just me in recovery. Everyone who works in recovery has got that skill set. It's easy for me to tell them what to do to help their family member that I'm looking after, right? Because I'm detached from the emotion.
Yeah.
Right, and this is what it's down to. When you attach an emotion to the problem, as we know, the problem intensifies, because that's what it does for us as addicts. I can talk about something, or I can need to do something, or I can have a bit of a resentment, or be pissed off with someone for not finishing something that should have finished, right? But it's just a feeling. I'm pissed off for a minute, and it goes. So I've learned not to hold on to anything. I have a rant, and then get rid, and I forget about it then. But if I attach an emotion to it, it becomes a real problem for me, right? I don't have to attach an emotion to someone else's problem. I can help a client. I can help a client's family, right? From a point and a perspective and a point of view of it. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at what I'm doing, and I want them well. When it's my kid, I have all these emotions attached to it, right? And I struggle.
Do you make excuses for him?
Yeah. Really wanted to say no then.
Yeah.
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 Have I let him get away with murder?
Yeah.
Literally. For fucking years. Yeah. Have I challenged him as much as I should have? No.
Would it have been helpful? Would it have changed anything?
You know what? It could have, mate. But if I'm looking at it in truth, guilt stopped me. Hypocrisy. Who the fuck do I think I am? That's heavy when you're a dad. And you should be able to turn around and say, fucking come here, and give him a wobble. I never raised a hand to him in my life. None of my kids. I always let the mums do that. I've never raised a hand to him in my life. He knows when I'm angry if I raise my voice. But I've hardly done that with him. You know what? This is horrible, this. I've given up. I've stopped enabling them, and my shoulders have dropped on it. It's literally, what will be, will be. We have that acceptance, and that was hard to get to. It was so hard to get to. I've had 8 years of pain, right, before I got near that. 8 years of pain with it.
And of trying and...
Yeah, just, and getting in places and trying to do the best I can from my point. When I'm looking at it from my point of reference is what I put my family through, what I've owned, what I've realised and what I've studied, my own addiction. No, I've said anyone else's, my own shit, and what I've had to do to work through my own program and own what I did, and own the selfish bastard that I was. I can't put that on him. I know what I did and I've owned that, but I can't put it on him. So he's not ready.
Because you're very good at helping other people find solutions.
Yeah.
And you find solutions to problems. That's what
I do.
That's what you do. But when it comes to your family member, and you're not there yet.
No.
Fine.
It's not just that.
But you wouldn't stop any addict that don't want to stop, right?
Never.
So until they're ready, it doesn't matter what you...
Yeah, but if I got to... Look, then this is the place I'm at, right? Yeah. This is the place I'm at, right? But when's it going to end? When I'm standing over his grave?
Do you know what? I reckon every mother and father, brother or sister of an addict
my mum said.
Has that thought
my family, all my close family, and it took years for them to believe that I was still in recovery, right? And that trust.
You hold the breath for a bit.
Yeah, I swear down, man. They years, right? You know what I mean? I've told you that story. 18 months in, walking with my sister, Sammy, down the aisle. That's the one that didn't talk to me for 15 years. Tried to run me over. Yeah. And I walked her down the aisle 18 months in because the person I'd become, and I was in uni and I was volunteering and I'd volunteering in this work at the time. I was in uni, I was in college. I'd started a paint and decorating business. So I'd done all these fucking things in early recovery because we go mad.
Get busy.
Trying to get everything back. And I walked her down the aisle and I went to the do in the night. I saw 5 or 6 people at the family. I left early, don't get me wrong. And I had my safety net and escape route, and I left back home over the bridge, right, back over to this end from Liverpool. And I watched 5 or 6 people sneak over and take sips on my drink, just to make sure there was no vodka in it. My head fell off, mate. My head fell off. I was quiet on the way home, and I got home, and I phoned my sponsor, and I screamed the fucking place down. It's fucking cheeky bastards. They don't know what I've just been through. And he let me have a rant. And then he ripped me a new arsehole. How dare you? All you put into for decades. You're 18 months in. I think you're entitled to judge that. And he was right. Like, I wasn't happy with him, but he was fucking right. So at the end of the day, I look at it now, you know, my mum and my family were adamant that I was going to get killed or die from drug overdose or drug-related illness, or get shot or stabbed. I was going to die, end of, right? That was it. And it's come to the conclusion now that if he doesn't find a route, that's going to be the situation for him.
Well, I guess as he is where he is, but what he has got going for him is you, who has a solution when he's ready for it.
Yeah.
And there will be a when, because everyone hits the pain barrier sooner or later. You know, we had very high pain thresholds. That's why we're in decades in it. Okay. So as he is where he is, he knows what to do when he's ready.
Yeah.
And you might be a good instigator, a good person to be able to see when that time could be. But if we're talking about just out of interest, really, I contacted many organisations, like 56, just loads, or a big old email out to them, and loads of social media posts and stuff, inviting organisations to come and be a part of a project that here, kind of supports and hears the voice of family members and loved ones, because that's what we're doing here. We're supporting people we don't even know now by making these broadcasts on a global scale. They'll help, they'll help, and they will offer hope, and they'll show that there is a way out. It was very disappointing that no organisations emailed me back, not one. Nobody put anybody forward.
You're joking me.
No. So not one. But that's besides the point. So I don't really know where people can get help from for family members.
Right.
So go on. What do you know of?
I don't even.
So
like
if we're not talking,
I don't even like it. Right. Listen, if a family member is going through issues and problems with one of their children, their partner, their siblings, or whatever, right? There is a place. Now, I believe in all fellowships, right? I work a program and I work a 12-step program, right? So, and I believe in all fellowships. But I take from all. I'm one of them, right?
So when you say fellowship, people might not like Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Gamblers, all the anonymouses.
Emotions Anonymous, Sex and Love Anonymous, right? Which is highly amusing.
Yeah, there's also Jaffa Cakes Anonymous.
There is actually one of them in America, and that is no lie, right? It's Americans for you. But the program, so a 12-step program, it's all based from one program that was written 90 years ago, weird enough, right? So at the end of the day, they have a AA, and I'm not just AA, have a partnership with something called Al-Anon, right? And it's families of alcoholics, right? Now, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your substance is. It's a drug, right? And I know, and I don't want to say this.
I'm shaking my head, I'm afraid, but go on.
I know, look, I don't want to say this. I know people can be condescending and stay to your own camp. A druggie's a druggie, he should be in NA, an alkie's an alkie, he should be in AA. No, my attitude is no, we're all fucking addicts.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Al-Anon.
There is a route there.
What?
There is a route for help. It's family of addicts. It's a program
of
for
alcoholics.
Family of See, this, I do know, I'm not saying all Al-Anon groups are the same. But I do know.
Incredibly caring people. Yeah. And although they weren't particularly welcoming of my family members because I was an addict and not an alcoholic, and they weren't made to feel comfortable, there was some comfort there.
There's an understanding. There was an understanding. What I'm trying to say is people you can go there and there is like-minded people, right, who have gone through pain.
Because they're in the same place, aren't they? They're in the same place. They're going through what you're going through, what other family members are going through, that sense of helplessness. And they have their own program, don't they?
Yeah, 12-step program.
Right.
They go through 12-step programs to deal with us.
They kind of admit that they are powerless over our addiction.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah. Listen, anyone in Al-Anon listening to me, I didn't mean that nasty, by the way. Right, it's the most uncomfortable place to ever, as an addict, alcoholic,
I've been
going to one of their meetings.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Yeah, I've been to conventions. I've been Al-Anon there. They've had powerful shares.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, but never, we're the enemy. You got to understand we're their issue. Whereas my drug of choice is more, right? Whatever it is, it's more of it. So that's my issue, right? Or I'm my issue, and that was the solution I used, right? If we want to look at it poetically, right? But at the end of the day, we're their issue. So we're their drug, their problem, right? So they have to work a program.
So like drugs and alcohol are our problem, we're their problem.
Yeah.
Our behaviours around the drugs and alcohol. Yeah.
So when someone's got issues with the family and that, it's somewhere, it's a base, and there's other places they can go. And I know it's not perfect. And and I do not know why there isn't families of Narcotics Anonymous groups, if you know what I mean, because that would really, really help. You know what I mean? But there isn't.
No.
I know that's a concept. Maybe that's where I don't know what that's actually worth bringing up to someone. Because at the end of the day, the fellowship helps people, right? We've personally both watched it help people, all our recovery lives, right? It can hinder some people, but it can.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a service, are they? They're not 9 to 5. They're whenever you
No.
need them, kind of thing. They're kind of open. You know, you can get meetings at weekends. You're not.
phone-
Doesn't cost anything. It's free.
The phone, what I'm trying to say is, right,
They're global.
yeah, and you can phone and you can talk to someone at any time of the day.
Okay, so that's kind of one that many people wouldn't have known about Al-Anon.
The other one is where Narcotics Anonymous is concerned is the NA helplines. Right.
Okay, yeah, you'd be able to talk to people
Who'll understand what you're
you'd
going
be able
through.
to talk to people in recovery about their family member, more than likely. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be very helpful. But if we get away from fellowship for a minute, because
Or signposted to where they need to go.
oh,
Because
do they?
this is what I'm trying
What,
to
like
say.
services?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they need signposting to services, but the services need to step up because they're not.
Do you know any services to deal with that?
They're actually doing anything at the moment. No.
No, I don't.
Right. And I'm being honest with you.
I'm not saying there aren't, it's just that they didn't get back to us.
No, they're not doing anything because they were not in the budget. It's not in the budget, is it? That's
But
right.
how we're free.
Well,
we're not charging.
Yeah, but in their head, it's not on the budget because
What, to
they
send
won't
an
put
email?
the time in it. Honestly, I know you're resentful about this, Marcus. Right? I'm just.
I was
it's
disappointed.
not me. Look,
Do you know what? I was disappointed, and there was a lot of people far where you get nosebleeds when you go and visit them. They're that high up. That were also very disappointed by that.
yeah, I can believe it. But at the end of the
It's
day, are you
surprising.
surprised?
Yeah,
I'm not.
because when we work with people in addiction, the
Everyone benefits
well, addiction service engage with us pretty quickly. Yeah,
because everyone benefits.
But the first time we're kind of stepping out and trying to support family members, and we're approaching, kind of family support groups, kind of none.
Because there is no budget for that. This isn't going to sound cold and horrible now. I've worked in this field a long time, right?
Because it's not in their contract to kind of bring.
Yeah, it's like they haven't got a budget for that. So the end of the day is, who can we assign to that? Right? Who can we? Now, if I assign someone to something, it's cost effective. It's going to cost me money, right? So I'm sorry, it's down to decimal points nowadays. How many years have you watched funding get cut on everything to do with addiction?
Oh, year by year. Yeah.
Thank you. So you really think they're going to put money into having someone who's going to sit in an office just to talk to family members of an addict when we can't even get fucking people to talk to addicts?
If you think there's not a lot of money for addiction, you should try and find money for recovery.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people doing recovery. No. It's mostly treatment and addiction. There's
Not the longevity part of it.
There's not a lot for people in recovery.
No, because look, I've always said it's a revolving door. Most of the companies, and I'm not going to go into it because I've got my own point of view, my own perspective on things, but I see 75% of council run or government run, I'll say, recovery, it's revolving doors because they have to hit targets.
You mean addiction services?
I'm trying to be polite.
Because they're not recovery services.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be polite. Right, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to be polite, but it's something. If I'm really brutally honest, you're probably going to delete it, right? But at the end of the day, it's a revolving fucking door, mate. Right? They have to hit targets. They have to hit. Yeah. They have to have so many targets hit a year. So if they have to hit so many targets, and there's so many addicts, and they get so many addicts, and they hit those targets, and those targets, those people stay clean and stay in recovery. When they get the next allotted amount of money, right? Who the fuck have they got to hit those targets again, right? So it's a revolving door. They don't want people well.
Oh.
They don't want people well. They don't. I don't know, maybe it's a twisted perception, right? But I would sit there on the sideline doing what I do the best I can and watch the people around me that work in this field, 12-step wise, doing the best they can and doing a good fucking job. And then I watch everyone else not doing a good job because they don't understand the illness. And I don't know if that's coming from a perspective as...
I certainly don't think that of the counsellors and the workers. I think they're incredibly...
Oh, no, what I'm trying to say is...
The people at the rock, at the coalface, I think they're incredibly caring.
Oh, they are? Yeah, but who's at the coalface anymore? Half the people have forgot what a coal mine looks like. Come on, man. If they're that far removed from it, they don't even know what coal looks like anymore, let alone get theirs on their hands. We work in the fucking mines, mate. We're in the mines.
We're totally off. We're totally off on the tangent.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said, don't let me push you. Told you.
So, okay. So, I'm generally interested in where we can signpost people just with the knowledge we have, which is quite extensive, really.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't know where to send a family member of an addict, especially. But I'd say have a go at Al-Anon because that's the only one I know of.
And this is bad. What does help? Go and find an addiction counsellor who's been in addiction, right? And this is the concept.
But if they're trying to get help for their loved one,
but they need help themselves because the trauma they've been through, right? You've got to understand they've got to deal with their own issues and their shit that they've been put through.
I think, I mean, if it's my kid, I think my priority would be yeah.
But at the end of the day, in knowledge comes the ability for them to help their kid, right? So if you go to an addiction counsellor who's been in addiction, right, and is in recovery.
So talking about the stuff that you talking about, so kind of stop enabling them straight away.
Right. So you need that advice.
Because by enabling people, you're stopping them, you're denying them their rock bottom. And like your own recovery and a lot of mine, the pain is very important, which we still hold close today because we don't want to go back.
No.
So, and our pain got us clean.
Yeah. Scares the shit out of me.
So if you're stopping somebody's pain, no matter how much you love them, you're stopping them hitting that rock bottom if they're proper addicts.
What doesn't help if they're proper addicts, right? They have the ability to make you feel guilty as fuck for not helping them. Because I was a master at that.
Yeah.
We all are. I told you, you know what we're like. I could rob sand off an Arab. Sell him it back, rob it off him again and sell him it back and make him happy. Right? So that's our skill set, manipulation. So we will carry on manipulating until you put a brick wall in front of it and go like, enough's enough. Yeah. You are killing us, because we do. We are killing them inside. You know what I mean?
My family had to do it.
Well, and mine did. Mine did in the end. Not until I'd burned all the bridges. There's probably still a few bridges left at the end of the day.
That wasn't the end of my addiction, but it was certainly one of the routes I couldn't go down anymore. Yeah. And eventually, over time, each route is cut off, isn't it? You cut off until you're kind of faced with. My high was overdose in the end. If I wasn't overdosing, I thought I'd been ripped off, and it was like that. Or, okay, where's left to go now? Nowhere. There's only death left. And then I managed to get an opportunity to get help.
You know what? I was so lucky. I was so lucky to be out of it. I'll be honest with you. We sit here and we talk about it, and I can look at the pain, deflect from the pain I've got with family at the moment. I know I'm doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, look, if I'm honest, if something happened, I'd be the first one, I'd be there. You know what I mean? It's just financially I'm not helping anymore, right? You know what I mean? And I've turned cold in certain areas, but if you get in touch with me over the grandkids, and once the grandkids, they're all, my two granddaughters and my daughter are all the same size. And when they're together, they're terrorists, mate, right? I swear, but lovely terrorists, right? And it's nice to get them together. And Shani loves the pair of them, and they love Shani. So I can get them together, and I'll make the effort then. And I'm respectful and polite, and I'm nice. But nothing's talked about, Marcus. Nothing. It's got to the point now, because I've put the blocks in, and I'm not trying with them anymore. I'm not saying, how are you doing? Like, I say, look, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm behaving. Right, that's all I get. The wall's straight up, you know what I mean? Where Shani's mum got past the wall a bit, because he was there for months. And she's got counselling. She counselled him, right? And she bobbed and weaved with him and got behind his defences and got him to open up a bit. There's no one there to do that now, right? So the walls are back up. So I don't enable him, but I want to be in the grandkids' lives.
Yeah.
So I'm between pillar and post. I'll be honest with you at the moment. Have I got the answer? No, I haven't fucking got the answer. I wish I had.
Okay. What would you say, or what do you say actually, to the parents of loved ones? What would your message be to them who are going through having a loved one in addiction?
Firstly, my heart goes out to you. I'm from someone who's from both sides. My heart really goes out to you. What I put my family through, and what I go through. So I have an understanding and a depth of the weightiness that a true understanding. My advice to you would be, get advice. Go to someone who's in recovery that can help you understand what you need to do to help and not hinder your loved one. Because what you think is helping them is probably hindering them getting well. You'll elongate their illness. And if they're lucky, they will finally get into recovery. If they're not lucky, they will die. And in the process, they will rip your family apart. And I'm not being horrible, I'm just being totally honest. I watch it happen time and time and time again. We worked out the other day, I've looked after over 3,000 clients. I'm probably seeing 2,000 families out of those 3,000 clients. Yeah, it's not good. Because the majority of those people are dead or dying. And their families can't do anything about it. And in the process of that, their families are ripped apart. And then they live with the guilt and the shame that they shouldn't live with for the rest of their lives. How can they help? Get proper advice. Go to someone who's going to give you, and look, I'd love to be able to go and say, go to X, Y, and Z. These will give you that. No, you're going to have to look. Me personally, I'd want to go to an addiction counsellor who's been through addiction and is in recovery. Preferably, I don't know, Google one who has family still in the madness. I want the best information I can get. So I've got to look for the best information. I don't know whether it's out there. It's horrible to say, because we don't cater for that. And it's fucking madness that we don't. But we don't. But look for help. It is there. It is there. You get help from people like us.
I feel if it was me, I think the first thing I could do was stop giving them money.
Well, that's it. I was saying that.
Because if, to me, it would just feel like I'm actually buying an extra day in addiction for them every time I give them money. I'm buying them a day in addiction every time I give them a bit of cash.
Put that cash away and say, I'll pay for your work first week's detox. Aye. So I'm not giving you money anymore for drugs. I'll put you in somewhere.
I guess it can be about letting people, letting your loved one know as well that when you're ready, we're here for you and we'll get you help.
Until then, off you fuck. I'm sorry. Don't know the way of putting it.
That'd be quite important, can't you? Not at least the person in addiction knows that there will be help there when they're ready.
When you've had enough.
When they've hit that rock bottom,
yeah,
probably for the 10th time.
This is what family members need to understand. We are not going to change until we are ready to change. No. Right? So there's nothing, you have no power at all.
And there's no guilt or shame that you need to be holding either, because this isn't down to you.
No, you're powerless.
This was down to us. And nothing that you do or say will make any difference until they're ready, until I was ready.
No. No, once upon a time I didn't have a choice. I don't
even like the term tough love, really. It's just loving them enough to say no.
Yeah. Loving them enough to let them go and accept, right, what will be is going to be. As you said just then, I'll be there with you.
Well, let them fall, don't let them go, but allow them to find that rock bottom.
It's just, it's, you know what?
Might take a few rock bottoms, probably till we're 20.
It's a tricky subject, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Everyone's, yeah.
You know what I
everyone's
mean? And look, I've been fearful over the years of giving the wrong advice out, right? Because, you know, if I give that advice out and they do it and then their loved one dies, I'm going to be held accountable. You know what I mean? So I've got to, I'll be honest with you, I skate a fine line. Right? I skate a fine line.
No, you're dead right. I was just thinking it through and what would I do? You know, what would have been useful to me in my addiction? Would have hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, at some point they did totally snap me off quite early, really. And I do think you can deny people having their rock bottom by enabling them.
But I've also...
Obviously, don't do anything to endanger them lives. And...
This lies that minefield, right? I know what the best advice is I can give you, but I also know if I give you that advice, then it goes Pete-tong and that addict dies, which is a real good possibility because we're addicts, right? And most of us fucking die, right? Are you then going to have resentment and feel bad and go down that rabbit hole and also point the finger back at me, right? So, and whatever person, whoever's given that advice, right? This is a tricky one, this.
Yeah.
It's not an easy one, this.
No.
Because whoever has to make that decision and give you that advice is then involved in that advice.
Okay, we're not offering any advice.
You know what I mean?
I'm offering myself.
I've just backtracked on everything I've said. No, I'm joking.
It scared me now.
I have. But, you know what? Is it worth the risk if someone gets clean?
I don't see how not giving somebody a tenner for a bag of smack would endanger their lives.
No, it wouldn't. Right. But you've got to understand and accept it. You know what I mean? Putting the blockers on, kicking them out in the street. There's a lot of things you need to look at here, right? And at the end of the day, they do. What I do know is the family that we damage, for every one of us that gets clean, 20 of our family heal. Right? You know what I mean? It's more or less, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because they no longer worry about us. There's no longer any fear. There's no longer... Look, when they truly know we're in recovery, the relief that we give our family is tangible. I've seen it. I watch it in my own.
Yeah, and the wider community as well.
Oh, and yeah, well, society at large is not robbing them. But seriously, close connections, all the people that love you that we hurt, when we get into recovery, they are no longer fearful, right? We have made their lives so much easier.
What do you want for Azzy?
You know what? I just want him to be happy and to be at peace with himself, right? You know, ugh, all I want him to be is happy, right? I don't want him to be... I want him to... Look, I'm not going to use the term normal because he's never going to be normal because he's one of us, right? He's always going to think outside the box. But he can do that and have a good life and not be in the situation that he's in. I want him to fulfill his potential because I know what he's capable of. I can see it in him. You know what I mean? He's a good kid. I want him to be clean, lad. I want him to be there for his kids. I don't want his kids to be visiting him. You know, he's got 7 kids. 7 fucking kids. He's only 35. I want him to tie a knot in his dick as well. You know what I mean? He's giving me too many grandkids. But at the end of the day, I just want him to be happy. I want him to be there for his kids. Not go through what I had to go through. Or put them through what I put him through.
Do you feel there are any questions I haven't asked you that I could have asked you?
No.
Okay, final thoughts?
Listen, if you're struggling out there, reach out to someone. Don't sit with yourself. There is people will listen, people will help. People in recovery, all they want, listen, we have to give this away to keep it, you know what I mean? And that's the truth, we give this away to keep it. The more we help someone else, the more it helps us. If it's helping a family member and not the addict, and wording it and making the family member more understanding of the depth of our illness, right, and so be it, you know what I mean? We need to all make the effort.
So that was a good friend of mine, Nicky. What I really found interesting, and it's quite, you haven't really heard it before, is how somebody in recovery is having to deal with a family member in addiction and what he's having to go through, and the whole family are going through it, and his perspective on that, having been in the addict's shoes. So he must be feeling all kinds of things. Having a son in addiction, Nicky will know exactly what his son's been going through, and that must be incredibly heartbreaking, because it's one thing being in addiction and not knowing, how you're affecting family and stuff, but Nicky's been through it all. Now he can see it from both sides, and I found that absolutely fascinating, and how heartbreaking it is for himself and the entire family. It does make you wonder if addiction does run in families, because it doesn't. We've had loads of interviews, haven't we, on film and stuff, and it doesn't really seem to have a bearing. Like people, I've heard it often, like addiction runs in families. Well, it does, but also pushes people the other way, because they've seen addiction at a young age. They don't go that way. So, yeah and no. Please tune in for the next episode of an Eternals Recovery Hub podcast, where you'll hear Saf and Manny. Manny does an amazing job at interviewing Saf, and it's fascinating to hear just how affected Saf's entire family is by addiction. It's really worth a listen. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll stick with us for the next episode.